Welcome to Century Classroom. Century Ply values the trust of its customers, contractors, carpenters, and architects and promises to keep it intact. To help you buy original Century Ply every single time, we have introduced Century Promise app. Install Century Promise app on your smartphone, log in and scan the QR code. Get the authenticity of your plywood verified. E-warranty certificate can be downloaded instantly on app or can be sent to your registered email ID. If you are a customer, you can ensure your peace of mind by verifying the authenticity of the plywood. Contractors can win over their customers by their transparent approach and by issuing e-warranty certificates in the customer's name. Architects can impress their customers and win their trust by issuing e-warranty certificates. Century Ply is the only company to use smart technology. Thank you for watching Century Classroom.
Good evening and welcome to the Bengal Chamber Think session with Mr. Amit Monga. We will take questions at the end of the session. You may write the questions in the comment section. I would now like to welcome Mr. Anup Hoon, Chairperson, Marketing and Brand Committee of the Bengal Chamber, to take the session forward. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shornali.
Recording in progress.
Good evening. Just one moment. Good evening, friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you all today to another edition of the Bengal Chamber Think series. The Chamber started off the Think series of lectures about 11 years ago with the intention of providing our members and the audience a forum to listen to eminent personalities on issues of contemporary relevance, spanning the economy, business, industry, the social context, issues of national importance, and the like. With the quality of speakers that we have had the privilege to host, the Chamber has been very successful in its effort with regard to the Think series lectures. Over the years, we've had corporate leaders, sports personalities, academicians, thought leaders, and somebody from the armed forces come and address us. But today, we have a speaker who actually is from an extremely niche area of marketing. Today, the marketing community, I divide into three parts, right? Those who are on the hazy side of the digital divide, which is people like me. There are people who live on the digital divide and those who are enlightened about the digital divide. So I think it's going to be a pleasure to listen, learn from the speaker this evening. Let me welcome and introduce Mr. Amit Monga, our speaker for this evening. Mr. Amit Monga is one of the co-founder of India's first full-stack e-commerce enabler, ANS Commerce. An e-commerce veteran of 11 years of experience, Amit started a couple of ventures, Fitretti, Fit Reco Engine, and esportsbay.com, the latter of which he sold to Snapdeal. An IIT Delhi graduate, Amit loves onboarding brands and growing their business, and shall today share with us his insights of how best we can maximize our investments into e-commerce marketplaces. Let us, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and listen to Mr. Monga as he takes us through on some of the new metrics, new rules, new segments as we try to decipher marketing in the e-enabled world. I must thank our sponsors, Century Ply, The Telegraph, and JS Group, who have made this evening possible. May I now invite Mr. Monga to begin his session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anup, for the humble introduction. And I'm really honored to be participating in this session. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share our learnings, our experience with the Chamber partners and members. I'm gonna just share my screen and I will use a presentation to anchor some of the talking points that I have for this session. and I'll try to make it in a manner where the participants are able to relate it to the real world, and try to sort of understand more about how e-commerce, and especially within e-commerce, direct to consumer, which is D2C, is in today's world changing the way we conduct our businesses, changes the way we interact with our society. So let me know when you guys are able to see my screen, and I'll get going after that.
Your screen is visible, Mr. Monga.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, great. So once again, thank you everyone for providing us this opportunity to talk about this very important topic of decoding e-commerce and direct to consumer brand ecosystem. We all know how much e-commerce is growing as a segment, but just to give you a glimpse of the kind of projections that we have in front, and that will make it real in terms of why this needs to be the focus for all business owners in the country, especially the business owners who have created legacy brands, and how they need to put their bandwidths, they need to put their focus, they need to put the armory together to ensure they capture this wave of e-commerce going forward. The pre-COVID projections of e-commerce, which was pegged around $40 billion, that's already has moved significantly post-COVID. But even without COVID, the projections in the next 5 years takes the industry to $160 billion. That's a 4x jump in the industry segment. Now, what's interesting to note in this is, of this $160 billion industry, which is expected by 2025-26, 40% of this is going to be driven by branded e-commerce, which is brand e-commerce selling on either brand store, which is their own direct to consumer channels, or marketplaces, which can be direct to consumer via marketplaces such as Amazon, Flipkart, etc., or the other way around, which is by enabling partners to enable through marketplaces, which is your retailers, distributors, to reach out to the end consumer via the marketplaces. And then there will always be e-commerce enabled by sellers and private labels, etc. That also contributes to the entire pie. But a significant portion of the e-commerce is going to be driven by branded e-commerce. And if we go one level down in terms of D2C, how much the D2C growth is expected, it is expected, and this is D2C across channels. And this D2C channel,
I see the enthusiasm is not there. It's like an.
So this D2C channel is expected, the D2C business is expected to reach $100 billion. And the categories which are going to be of prominence, other than the fashion, lifestyle, electronics and appliances, which in a traditional world also contributes a majority of the pie, FMCG and home decor, and particularly within FMCG, apart from grocery, which is a high repeat category, beauty, personal care, wellness, health, nutrition as a category is of particular interest. And you would have seen a lot of D2C brands coming in the last year or so trying to capture that pie. What we have as an estimate today is about 800 plus D2C brands which are there in the country trying to address 165 million online shoppers. And this number is expected to grow, at least on the D2C brand store, 10x in the next 4 to 5 years. A number of brands which will emerge and try to be digitally native first in order to connect to the new generation consumer, the Gen X, Gen Z consumers, which spend a majority of their time on the internet, on the digital world. Before I start talking more about how you need to start or how brands see this entire ecosystem, what kind of challenges they face, and how as an organization we venture into solving some of these pieces, and how does that happen globally, I want to quickly talk about some of the key trends in D2C that you would already be experiencing, or you would be hearing from people in terms of what the focus in D2C is. So one of them is being social commerce, which is how do you enable purchases via social media of driving your D2C strategy. A lot of brands have also started focusing on video commerce, especially the brands where there is a need to communicate better or engage with the consumers better before they make the buying decision. So a lot of electronics category brands, appliances category brands are utilizing this channel in order to have much more deeper engagement with their consumers while they are interacting digitally. You would also see startups like Bulbul, SimSim coming up, where they have seen massive growth, 9 to 10x growth in their user base, purely driven by the video commerce strategies over there. Then the other important aspect to 10x growth in their user base, purely driven by the video commerce strategies over there. Now, in the omni-channel, there are two aspects of omni-channel. One is how are you giving better experience to the end consumer, which is whether they are getting the products in a much faster timelines at their home, where you need to have fulfillment centers or you need to have stores right next to the consumer's place in order to reduce the delivery timelines. You would have seen, especially in categories like grocery, startups coming and giving commitments of 20 minutes delivery, 30 minutes delivery, 2 hours deliveries. And I've even seen advertisements saying 10 minutes deliveries. Although anything which is within 24 hours or 48 hours qualifies as omni-channel or qualifies as sort of hyper-local, to put it this way. And then obviously it's a matter of use cases and building on the experience over there. The other important aspect why omni-channel is important is how do you leverage your offline and online strategy together at one place, especially for brands who have their own physical stores, who have their franchisee partners, who have basically a network available pan-India, and how do they leverage that with their online strategy becomes very, very pivotal to the omni-channel strategy. We will talk about this more in our subsequent slide, and this is going to be one of the focus areas. Then voice commerce is also becoming very, very important. This is primarily because the moment you reach your consumers in more interiors of the country, the moment you go tier 2, tier 3, where it starts becoming more restrictive around the languages that different people, different regions use, and then the need to translate from one language to the other when they're using textual search, when they're searching textually. Voice search is one area which is breaking those barriers and making sure that you are reaching out to the consumers in much more efficient manner, especially with the advancements in technologies on voice reception and voice conversion into the application. That has started becoming more and more prominent. You would have already experienced in the form of the kind of search results that you get when you do a Google search or when you talk to devices such as Alexa, etc. So that is going to becoming very, very important now. Lastly, personalization. This is very important from a D2C standpoint. When you are getting a consumer on your own website, when you are basically getting a customer to shop on your own brand store, the more personalized experience that you will provide to the consumer in terms of what products to show, in terms of what offers to give to the consumer, in terms of what how you explain your products to the consumer, the better the chances are for the consumers to engage with you, interact with you, and eventually become your customers. So we will also talk about personalization during our subsequent presentation, but this is another important trend which is emerging in 2022 and the focus area around D2C. Moving on, a lot of our customers, when we talk to them, a lot of our brand partners, when we talk to them, they ask this constant question that should I focus on building my own store as far as my D2C strategy is concerned, or should I go marketplaces, which is leverage the likes of Amazon, leverage the likes of Nykaa, Flipkart, etc., in order to have my direct to consumer strategy? The answer to that question lies in the fact that you need to understand the benefits of brand store and how the marketplaces models are evolving over a period of time. And then you need to decide which of the two. It's not a choice of one versus the other. It's actually both, if you have the bandwidth and if you have the resources to apply on both. But depending upon where the journey of your brand is, if your brand is a nascent brand in terms of digitally, it is taking the first few steps in the digital world, then you may want to pick your battles, or you may want to focus your resources on one channel over the other for a short period of time, and eventually then move to the other channels in order to have an holistic approach. uh, but if you're already on an e-commerce journey, you already have understanding built in, then you need to have both the places, sort of resources allocated across both equally. Now, brand store comes with its own set of benefits, where you have a direct consumer connect to the consumer. You have a direct understanding of what your consumers want, not like, purchase, do not purchase, etc. You're able to position your brand experience very nicely, unlike in a marketplace where your product will be seen along with many other products. So your brand positioning and experience are very stronger over there, and you can leverage the consumer insights to even improve your product offerings and even make your next set of offerings, etc. On marketplaces, the D2C, the shift which is happening from an inventory led model, where marketplaces used to buy stocks from brands, and now that shift is now eventually happening to a marketplace led model. Now in the marketplace led model, the brand is what is brand or their partners or their distributors, etc. They are selling directly to the end consumers on a marketplace, and there the focus for the brand is how do I get maximum visibility on the platform. While there are 100 other brands which are competing for the same visibility, same space, how do I make sure that my products are more relevant and come up in the search results, in order to for me to have more consumer mind share. And we will talk more about this in our subsequent slides. Ultimately, the choice between brand store and marketplace boils down to getting the unit economics right. And here I have tried to sort of taken an example of an FMCG vertical and try to give you a sneak peek into how the PNL looks like when you are building your brand on a brand store versus when you are building your brand or reaching out to the consumer, D2C, consumer, direct to consumer on a marketplace. And there are different phases of this journeys across both the platforms. Now, while in a brand store, and you would see I have written down some of the most important elements of the PNL, which eventually led to the decision, which eventually for any business owner leads to the decision making on where they should put the money on. So for example, if you are an FMCG brand with an average order value of 500 rupees as your average order value, and your choice is to choose between a brand store or a marketplace. While on a marketplace at a 500 rupee average order value, the cost involved, which is the logistics, the category fees that you pay to the marketplaces, the warehousing, fulfillment, even the marketing services that you do, either you do it in-house or you do it with partners, etc., eventually lead you to have at least a situation where at pre-cogs, before the cogs, you are able to have a break-even situation, including the marketing investment that you do. This is the marketing investment that you do to improve the visibility of your products on the platform, which over a period of time, as you develop the learnings, as you develop the understanding on how to optimize that, as you keep optimizing your A cost, which is average cost of selling, that you try to sort of reach a situation. And obviously you also try to improve your average order value, because that will help you improve your returns on the investment that you're doing on acquiring the customers on marketplaces. On a brand store, on the other hand, initially you might feel the pinch of the customer acquisition cost, especially in categories where you have the average order value 500 rupees. But since it's your own store, you control the experience over a period of time with your product offerings, with your offers. You can actually move the consumers into buying more of products with you and increasing the average order value to 1500 rupees. And you add in that phase, the realization from a brand store is far better. And obviously there are benefits of the insights that you draw out of a brand store. In addition to that, the profitability also of selling on brand stores become way more than marketplaces, which is what different brands aspire in the medium to long term. Moving on, this is just to sort of give you guys a glimpse on what kind of challenges the brand face. Now everyone knows D2C is the focus area. Everyone knows that it's growing. Everyone knows that we need to do brand store marketplace. So what is restricting brands to actually do that? So in our experience of working with brands over the last 5 years, we've seen that they face multiple problems. Some of them are the coordination which is required across the functions, and I will talk about the value chain of e-commerce in my subsequent slides. The complex coordination which is involved across technology, performance marketing, supply chain management in order to enable direct to consumer is something that brands find very difficult to do, especially the brands who are traditionally offline first. They have built their capabilities and infrastructure for the offline world. Especially in India, brands dislike self-serve model. They like it to be a managed model. They want it to take somebody to take full, complete end-to-end capability. And we have seen brands who tried working with one partner for technology, one partner for marketing, one partner for supply chain management, and eventually over a period of time they realize that it is not completely a managed model, and that is something that led them to not have the complete focus over there. Hiring expertise is another challenge, especially in this today's very competitive world, where if you want the best of the talents and retention of that talent becomes super difficult when you are a one brand trying to scale. So getting the best of the talents becomes really difficult. And the cost of scaling while learning, at the risk of learning everything at your own increases, makes it like a costly affair, which eventually starts impacting your growth because you do not get the right returns. So there are solutions which are available which solves for these challenges. And at ANS Commerce, we have endeavored to build an ecosystem which precisely works towards solving this. And I will talk about more about this, how we essentially do that. Before I venture more into what we do at ANS Commerce and how brands over the course of last 4 or 5 years, we have helped 100 plus brands in solving some of the challenges and defining the D2C journey. I want to get your focus on what's happening globally. When brands, when they face this challenge, when they face all these issues, how have they delivered, or how they leveraged the e-commerce ecosystem or e-commerce path? Globally, the brands there are large e-commerce enablement partners who does this for the brands, and depending upon some of the enablers would be brand store tech oriented. So there are tech enablers out there, likes of Shopify of the world. So Shopify is a SaaS platform which is very tech focused, very heavy SaaS focused company. Then there are others which are very much focused around providing fulfillment solutions, the likes of Transcosmos, likes of Baozone. Baozone is a affiliated to Alibaba, and they are one of the prominent e-commerce enablers in China market. Then on the other side, there are also enablers who focus on marketing as a solution. So there are enough examples globally for these partners. Now for India, this is a model that we are trying to crack. We are trying to sort of be that enabler for brands in the country, in order to make them define their e-commerce journey. And even after COVID, there is a massive action which is happening globally with a lot of companies emerging in this space, especially the likes of Cart.com raising one of the largest rounds for brand scaling tools. So they're building tools for brands to use in terms of their e-commerce journey. Shogun is another example. SCI Commerce in Singapore is another example. So a lot of examples of globally brands raising capital, the enablers raising capitals to help brands with their e-commerce strategies. In the model, in this entire enablement piece, there are different models of enablement, and you would have you may have experienced some of the recent companies in India which has raised capital in order to capture this market in different innovative ways. So let me talk about these models and how they are different from one another. So there is a pure SaaS model with where likes of Shopify's of the world, where they create technology product and then they give it to their partners, or they basically there's a partner ecosystem that they create, which in turn works with brands in order to sort of enable it for them. Then there are roll up models, which is where a brand ends up selling the equity or making or completely either selling completely the brand or selling the equity in the brand to other partners who then take them into the e-commerce journey and grow their brands. So Thrasio is one of the global names. They are the fastest unicorn globally who have sort of enabled this in US in terms of the roll-up model. Then you have accelerator model, which is in which you don't end up giving your equity, but you end up working with partners who take up the stocks and then take ownership of selling the stock in the online world at full control. So they decide the pricing strategy, they decide the assortment. Although you have all the brand rights and you have all the brand equity, but essentially the control of managing it is with these accelerators. And Pattern is one of the companies which has enabled that in multiple countries. Now, then there is another another mode of enablement, which is managed enablers. So in the managed enabler model, there are companies, and this is where we are trying to position ourselves as ANS Commerce, where we are ultimately the decision making is in the hands of the brand, but the capability to enable it, which is both all from our technology, supply chain, performance marketing, everywhere, is managed by ANS Commerce. Is managed by this managed enablers, and Cart.com is an example of that, and this is precisely where we are trying to position ourselves. Let me jump on quickly to the value chain now in terms of how this entire e-commerce, what are the different elements of value chain in this value chain involved in e-commerce selling. Right from creating the store, where you require creative partners, you require tech partners, you require then essentially you require the merchandising support, both in terms of the photo shoot, content creations, all of them. Then you require support around store management, followed by, once your store is ready, you require the marketing support in order to get customers on your stores. Then when the customer comes, they need to make a payment, make an order, for which you require somebody to an order management system, you require customer support, you require a lot of tools around it, payment gateway. So that those are all part of basically the ordering and payment solutioning. Followed by, once a consumer has placed the order, it goes to a warehouse or a store, from where you need to manage a lot of operations, picking, packing, invoicing, dispatching, and then followed by, if there are returns in a direct to consumer world, unlike in an offline space where once you have made the payment, that So unlike in the offline world, unlike in the offline world where if you've done the payment, the transaction completes in a store. In an offline world, the transaction is not completed till the product is delivered to the end consumer and the payment has been made, and the return cycle, which is defined by the policy around returns, etc., completes for the end consumer. So till that time, there are return refurbishment processes that needs to be taken care, and finally the reconciliation which needs to be enabled. And what ANS tried to do in this ecosystem is pick up all the pieces along tech, performance marketing, supply chain management. This is what we enable for the brands. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to take next 5 minutes to give you guys a quick understanding of what all we do. And we will pick up questions during the Q&A sessions and where I can answer some of the more specific questions around them. But in the interest of time, these are the 3 pillars around which the managed enablement model is built and being driven by ANS Commerce in the country. On one side, we have built a platform. We are trying to productize everything that we do. So brand store tech platform, Cartify is one of our products where we host brand.coms. So if you go to a veromoda.in or a khadims.com or jackandjones.in, there are hundreds of partners with whom we manage the technology on Cartify platform by driving their direct-to-consumer portal.com on Cartify. That's one of the solutions that we have. The other leg is performance marketing. And this is precisely the reason why we ended up creating our own platform. Because when you are doing marketing, you want the technology and marketing to be integrated in order to get the maximum returns. So the focus for us is how do we get maximum returns for the brands for every money of marketing that you spend online. In performance marketing, we are trying to productize it. So we are building a product called Catapult, which is a marketing automation tool which enables budget and bid optimization when you're running campaigns across Google, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And just to give you a glimpse of the kind of scale that we manage across these 100 odd brands, we manage about 20 million sessions on a monthly basis on their own store. This is brand.com business. And this traffic translates to about 30 crores of GMV on a monthly basis on brand.com business. And there are examples of brands where we started with a brand, their .com contributing less than 5% of their online sales, to now their .com started contributing 25-30%, in some cases more than 30% of the online sales via their own .coms. There are examples of brands and case studies of brands where we have taken a brand and scaled them to started doing 100 crore plus annual sales run rate on their own brand.com with the help of these 2 pillars of tech and marketing together. Then on the other side, the supply chain management, that's very, very important. And we realize that we cannot be running tech and marketing in isolation if you're not able to bring in efficiencies on the fulfillment side, because that is where you end up sort of bringing sustainability in the P&L for the brand. So we have our own fulfillment centers across Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, and we are in the process of sort of even working with partner warehouses pan-India in order to increase the reach for the brands, where we manage both D2C fulfillments, also all types of complex marketplaces models, be it seller flex, smart fulfillment, drop shipment, FBA. So these are different marketplaces model. So all kinds of e-commerce models are enabled in this warehousing and fulfillment model. We are very specialized e-commerce partners for brands in terms of building in this capability set. Quick overview of the founding team. I'm one of the co-founders. I've got Vibhor, who is my senior from IIT Delhi. He was ex-CEO at Gadi Stores, where he was leading a team of 800 people in building the Gadi stores for cardekho.com. Sushant is our tech and marketing co-founder. He's our growth hacker. whenever we have a problem statement, we just throw it at him and he finds a solution for that. In fact, Cartify, the platform, is his brainchild. Nakul is our operational co-founder, so all our warehousing fulfillments is managed by him. He's our backbone of the company, while I do the running around job of meeting brands, understanding their problem statement, giving solutions to them. The operational part is being managed by Nakul in the backend. We have a team of about 200 to 50 people team across multiple locations, multiple warehouses. These are kind of brands that we work with. Maybe during the Q&A session, we can pick up some of the stuff that we're working for some of these brands. I'll quickly talk about the 2-3 sets of solutions before I sort of open it up for Q&A. And we can always have one-to-one sessions in terms of anybody who wants more deeper understanding of how these solutions work, etc. But in the interest of time, Cartify, which is one of our brand store solutions, this is one of the leading storefronts in India now, which is built around customization as the focus, especially for a lot of international brands. We work with a lot of international brands like Sunglass Hut, like Bath and Body Works, where they require 100% customization. We recently onboarded Philips. We work with Bira in terms of managing their full front end, and 100% customization is what Cartify offers. It is scalable. So as I mentioned, we manage massive scale, and the platform has been load tested for 1 million concurrent users. That's 1 million queries per second happening on the platform, which makes it, this is the kind of scale that Amazon would see during a Great India sale, or a Flipkart would see during Big Billion Day sales, etc. It is Omni enabled, so integrated with all the order management partners out there. And that's one of actually the key areas. So we have done so many integrations across the payment partners, order management partners, logistics partners, etc., that it actually make it like an e-commerce in a box ready platform for brands to go to market. Then there's Catapult, which is the marketing automation tool. This is the tool which helps us drive the ROAS for the brands, where we are trying to, this is a tool which sits on top of the campaigns that you're running on Google, Facebook, Instagram, and your Cartify platform. It fetches in data from all of theirs, including the Google Analytics, and then try to give you trends of the most important metrics which are required to improve your ROAS. It gives them the trends of, say, 3 days trends, 7 days trends. It tries to basically analyze the data and tell you where to put money, where to reduce the budget, where to put more money, what kind of audiences are working for you, in order for you to have the right decision making available to scale your campaigns in the right direction. And it's a managed model, so it's not like you have to do all of that. It's the team which manages all of this for you, and the data is available for you to consume, and it's a participative model. You are able to give insights, you are able to work with the team to take corrective actions across your marketing campaign. So it's a model for brands where it's not self-serve, it's managed, but at the same time it's participatory for the brands in order for them to drive the strategy piece over there. From a warehousing standpoint, all our warehouses are built for different complex e-commerce models for inventory management, order management, etc. And that is what differentiates us over anybody else. So there's a robust business operations that are built in for you to get transparent view of your inventories, your orders, all of that, which basically differentiates us. This is a very quick overview of when you are actually running your D2C channel management, what is the kind of integrated flow which is required, right? From a consumer shopping on your brand.com, need for a CRM platform in order to address to consumer queries, have a business operations in place, which can decide on the inventory planning, reconciliation, even giving inputs to the CRM in order to give the customer resolutions, have an order management system in place, which can be then enabled further, either integrated with your physical stores or warehouses or partner warehouses or all of them. And from there, the processes of order processing in the warehouse pickup by the logistics partner, and deliveries to the end customer. And this entire ecosystem is what ANS Commerce enables for you. What we have also realized, and this is very important for a lot of business owners who have collaborations with international brands, and they want these brands to come into India. So these international brands, because of certain policy guidelines where they're not able to do a D2C themselves or an end customer reach themselves, we enable a B2B2C seller partner model for them, where the brand owners in India who are the Indian entities, they can take the international brands can sub-license the domains to them. They can then enable the B2C invoicing or the B2C selling, the retail trading to the end consumer on behalf of these international brand, while ANS being the service provider enables end-to-end for some of the business owners in the country. So if any one of you aspires to get an international brand who you have a partnership with, and you're looking for somebody to manage end-to-end, you know where to come. This is our solutioning over there, and this is how you will be able to give a far better experience and reach to the consumers who are aspiring for these products in the Indian market. That is it from my side. I'm open to questions, and thank you so much once again for giving this opportunity in presenting our view on this particular topic.
Thank you, Mr. Monga. So, Mr. Monga, thank you very much.
मार्केट डुप्लीकेट प्लाई से भर गया है।
बेफिक्र रहिए सर जी, आपने लिया है सेंचुरी प्लाई। इसके हर बोर्ड पे है QR कोड, स्कैन किया और सच जान लिया।
So we would now take some questions from the participants. Over to you, Anup sir, for taking this forward. Thank you.
Amit, thank you very much for that talk. Let me pose the questions to you now.
Sure.
This question is from Mr. Praveen Srivastav of Tata Steel. He says brands are using e-commerce for consumer comfort and offering shorter lead times as well. An example is Blinkit now makes supplies in 10 minutes. This calls for an agile supply chain restructuring and increases the whole cost structure. How does this impact competitiveness in the long run?
Sure. I think the faster deliveries to the end consumer, that's definitely an experience which differentiates one brand over the other. But my personal view is that the definition of faster sometimes becomes redundant over when you overdo it. So whether a consumer would not buy your product because you're delivering in a day versus somebody who's delivering in 10 minutes probably depends upon the category that you're in. So if you, for example, require an ice cream to be delivered to you, you would not wait, or a snack to be delivered to you, you would not wait for a day because you have the urge to have it right now, right? So if you want the product in 10 minutes, if you get the product in 10 minutes, the offerings are differentiated. That actually makes the impact. But if you are buying a mobile phone, or if you are buying a commodity product where the buying can hold on for 1 day or 2 days, obviously if you're delivering in 2 days versus if you're delivering in 7 days, that would again have an impact on the consumer experience. But if you're delivering in 2 days, but your quality of the product and the durability of the product and the assurance of the product is far better than what you get in 10 minutes or what you get in 30 minutes, I think Indian consumers are smart enough to make good choices over there.
Okay. This question is from Mr. Siddharth Roy of Response. How do you integrate and optimize a brand launch through multiple communication channels in the digital space? That's question one. So should I repeat the question?
Yeah, that will be helpful.
How do you integrate and optimize a brand launch through multiple communication channels in the digital space?
Sure. So there are, as I during my presentation covered, so when you're launching a brand, you have a choice of either launching it on your own store, which is your own .com, or on marketplaces. Now we enable selling from both. We enable you to launch from both together, and for example, if you're doing from brand store, we are able to give you solutions of technology, marketing, and supply chain, along with even the CRM management, in order to reach out to the consumers in a far more effective manner. Similarly, on marketplaces as well, both in terms of improving the merchandising, improving the visibility of your product on marketplaces, and the entire supply chain management, along with running promotions to improve the visibility of the product. That's what we enable for brands who are launching online or digitally.
Okay. Next is, how do you upgrade consumer brand experiences through a digital store and channel delivery strategies?
So one is, from a UI UX standpoint, how do you make, so the most important aspect is when you get a consumer on your digital store, you want the store to be optimized for shopping. If your intent is to get the consumer to shop with you, so we provide a highly optimized platform which is built for e-commerce first. So that's one of our very strong offerings. The other pieces is, when you're running your marketing, how do you make the marketing focused around ROS driven marketing, which is return oriented marketing. So we help brands work with a funnel strategy, which is where we create a top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Now this top of funnel is when you are engaging for awareness, when you're trying to get a consumer to interact with your brand. But once they are on your platform and they start interacting with your products, or they start adding to the cart, that's where they become a middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. So we work part of the funnel in terms of what kind of advertisements you want to show to them, what kind of offers you want to show to them, what kind of ad copies you want to show to them, so that that helps them make the decision making of buying your product online. So that's one of our strong offerings.
Okay. Next is, these days, B2B organizations are also looking at digital e-commerce solutions for their customers. Currently, most of their solutions are in-house, but are you thinking of any solutions for them?
So yes, actually yes, and that actually bring me to a very important aspect of performance marketing, which is a lead generation marketing that we do for B2B brands. So when you talk about B2B, there are 2-3 B2B solutions that come to my mind. First is when you're trying to get more and more partners, the business partners to be aligned with you, which is you generate leads, and then depending upon the volume of the leads, there is an LMS solution, lead management solution, that we build for brands, where they are able to convert a raw lead into a qualified lead, into a prospective lead, into, and then a final convert, which is what we work with brands to enable that. The other aspect of B2B marketing is when you're trying to get business for these partners. So you have partners, you're trying to generate business for these partners to serve to the end consumer, which is where you're trying to get sales generated on a platform which is passed on to these your business partners, which can be an architect, which can be a distributor, which can be a retailer, to further then convert into a sales to the end consumer. We also have use cases where a business say, hey, I want a platform where my distributor or my partners can buy from me. So right now, if I'm engaging with them on an offline model of email, WhatsApp, etc., or a telephonic conversations, I want them to automate that process so that they can shop with me, or they can place their orders. So we have actually enabled that for a large fashion brand globally, where 52 franchisee partners place their orders or not orders actually, they create their wish list whenever there's a new launch that happened on a platform. So some of these solutions are enabled in B2B portal.
Okay. This question, we were talking about this just before you began. As far as the building material industry is concerned, you are working with brands in plywood, paints, etc., etc. Now, as you call it, if you have your own store, which is a .com of your own, right? In terms of lead generation, if you can just amplify, how do you manage it for them? And, because there are influencers who are involved, right? So you have on one side your influencers, which can be an architect, which can be a contractor, etc. And of course, the customer himself, right? So what is the kind of solution for lead generation do you really provide them?
Sure. So there are three solutions that we provide in this entire lead generation program. So the first solution is around creating your funnel, as I mentioned earlier, which is which channel you should reach out to your consumer, which is Google, Facebook, Instagram. Now there are OTT platforms which are available, where you need to add YouTube available, etc., where you can potentially advertise yourself. And how do you create your marketing strategies in order to reach out to an end consumer, and define your platform strategies, what kind of campaigns you should build, what kind of creatives you need, what kind of ad formats you need, and then the catapult, which is the optimizer, which is sitting to give you the most optimized lead cost. So what is the cost of lead which is coming to you, and whether that lead is a raw lead or whether that lead is a qualified lead, etc. So that's on the marketing side. The other is, what will you do when you generate that lead, or where are you generating the lead? Actually, that's the second point. Where are you generating the lead? When a customer clicks on your ad, where is he landing? If he's landing on, if you're doing a Facebook, you can actually get a lead generated on Facebook itself. But is it the right way to do? Maybe you will be able to only capture raw leads over there. But if you want the lead to be slightly more mature, where you are capturing 2-3 level of detailing from the consumer before they actually become a lead in your system, that can be built as an experience on your own portal where you are landing the consumer. So that is where we build your portal experience and the journeys on that, in order to have not just a raw lead but a more matured lead captured with you, with more level of details available before that lead is passed on to your sales team or your partners, in order to sort of work on them. Now, depending upon the scale of the leads, if you have a handful of leads every day and you can manage it with simple solutions of emails and sort of Excels, etc., then probably the third solution might not be for you. But for larger enterprises, when they are dealing with hundreds of leads every day, and they need solutions to have visibility on what's happening on those leads once the leads have come in, whether my sales team is calling them, whether I'm sending emails to them, what customers are responding, and even for you to get this information back into your campaigns to say, hey, these kind of leads are working well, so let me push more of those advertisements. So there is a lead management systems that we provide to brands, where they are able to assign leads to a lot of functions, teams, or their partners to start working on it, and check the efficiency and improvements on who's doing better in what territories, what regions, etc., for them to optimize conversions and results. So these are the three sets of lead management solutions that we provide.
Okay. One last question again on building materials. You're going to get bugged with me.
Absolutely, okay. No problem.
No problem. Okay. The issue is, in an omni-channel kind of a situation that you have, there are a lot of influencers who work through the brick and mortar channel, right? And a lot of leads get generated from there, right? So either you have a large sales force which goes and does it, right? Or can we really have a solution from where it can land on our page, or onto our store, and then we start managing that lead? Would a solution like that be possible?
Absolutely. So if you have a brand store, you can actually send all leads from either offline influencers or online influencers or even your physical stores. So if you have a store staff and if a customer is in the store and you do not have a product available right now in the store for that consumer, your store staff can actually place an order on your own brand store. So your brand store is readily available. It's available on mobile, just a click of button, and they can place an order on behalf of the customers. In fact, we are working with a large international pet brand in order to enable a program for them where some of their pet partners, which are the pet specialists, will have a solution to place an order on behalf of the customer who are the first pet parent. So if you are buying a pet for the first time, they can actually place an order on their behalf, and they are able to get a reward from the brand or some sort of a gift hamper from the brand, which incentivizes both the retailer, which is the shopkeeper, the pet specialist, as well as the customer. And the solution is something that we build, which enables them to do this kind of activation. So yeah, so to answer your question, you can enable an offline store influencers or online store influencers to purchase on the .coms.
Okay. I think that brings us to the end of the questions. Amit, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to propose a formal vote of thanks at the successful completion of our interaction today. This was brought to you by Century Ply, the Telegraph JS Group, and Response India, our communication partner. We have indeed had an invigorating last 1 hour. As we have found out, we certainly have learned. I may not remember everything that you said, but I am enlightened to an extent. In fact, it continues in continuation with the tradition of the Chambers Think series lecture sessions, leaving behind food for thought for the audience present here today at large. A big thank you, Mr. Monga. Last, certainly not our heartfelt thanks to our audience for making it convenient to attend this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Monga. Thank you, sir. We shall be in touch.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Bye.